Welcome back. Now let's learn about the brain, different parts of the brain and what the different parts do. Okay. So when we talk about the brain and we look at it from the outside, from the side, we can see we have this big part here, which is called the cerebrum. If you look at it, it kind of looks like a mitten from the side, where you can see like there's a groove right here, and down below you can pretend like that's the thumb. And so if that was the thumb, then the fingers would be up above, and then you would notice that the fingers are pointing always towards the front of the brain. Okay. And then underneath the mitten, we have this little round part underneath it and towards the back, and that cerebellum. And then coming out from the middle of the cerebrum and going down kind of like a stalk is something called the brainstem. So normally when people are talking about the brain, they're really talking about the cerebrum. Okay. And that's because 80% of the brain mass is the cerebrum. So if we want to talk about what's going on in the brainstem or the cerebellum, we'll usually be mentioning those parts by name. Otherwise, we're inferring that we're talking about something going on in the cerebrum. Okay. So if you look at the cerebrum and the cerebellum, I think the first thing you can notice is that it's not a smooth round surface. It's got like these hills and these valleys. And that's because when the brain was being formed in utero, um, remember that these cell bodies are at the surface in the cortex. And what happened was we needed more cortex. Okay? And the only way to get more cortex was to take the surface and to start going up and down, to have the little invaginations going up and down, so that we would have more cerebral cortex going up and down. And that's because for us to have conscious thought about anything, we have to have synapses go all the way to the cerebral cortex, because our conscious thought only occurs in the cerebral cortex. Okay, real important concepts here. All right, so let's talk about the cerebrum. When we look at the cerebrum, there are four main lobes which are anatomically divided. So let's learn the names of them. Right here in the front, that's called the frontal lobe. And then if we go back here where your temple is, that's called the temporal lobe. Okay, so those two aren't so bad. Now, from the temporal lobe, if we go back higher on your head, this is called the parietal lobe. And then from the parietal lobe, if we go to the back part, that is going to be the occipital lobe. So you notice the occipital lobe sits right above that cerebellum, that little brain, the cerebellum. So we have four lobes there. So notice in this picture, it still was oriented with the front of the brain pointing that direction. Okay, now notice in this picture, I have flipped it. Okay, the mitten's facing the other direction. So now the frontal lobe is on the right side. So you are looking at the right side of the brain. Okay, now between the frontal lobe and the parietal lobe, there's a very deep valley, which is called the central sulcus. And this is a great external landmark for telling the difference between the two of them. Everything behind the central sulcus is going to have a sensory function. Okay. And so now we're going to start talking about specific functional areas of the brain. Okay. So just in front of the central sulcus, so in other words, the most posterior part of the frontal lobe, this part of the brain is known as the primary motor area. Okay. So neurons from this area are going to give us our voluntary motor movements. Okay. Now, moving into the parietal area, right on the other side of the central sulcus, this is going to be our primary sensory area for our body. Okay, so we're not talking sensory for our internal organs, we're talking sensory for the same areas of our body that we had the primary motor areas. Okay. Continuing on, the occipital lobe is going to give us our sense of vision, and the temporal lobe is going to give us our sense of hearing. But it's a little bit more complicated than that. Okay. We have what we call association areas because we need to have some integration. It's just not one sensory neuron coming in and one motor neuron going out. We are going to have interneurons going in. So let's start with the temporal lobe, where we know we have hearing. We are going to have auditory association areas, which I'm going to be talking more specifically about on a subsequent slide. In the occipital lobe, we're going to have visual association areas. So examples of those would be pattern recognition. Another example would be the ability to see a picture of yourself as a child, a picture you have never seen of yourself, and yet be able to recognize enough of your own characteristics to say, yeah, I think that's me as a child. Or to be able to recognize pictures of family from characteristics that you have never seen. The parietal lobe gives us association areas. For sensation, an example of that would be if you had coins in your pocket and you could feel the coin and you could tell if it was a nickel or a quarter or a dime. We're also going to be talking about understanding speech. And frontal association areas are going to do with voluntary movement. For instance, when you're practicing your free throw over and over and over again, we're going to go to motor association areas. We also have areas in our frontal lobe which have to do personality. And then we have another area called the prefrontal cortex I'll be talking about. But first, let me talk about speech, because speech is complicated. And I want to talk about the 90% of people who are right-handed. So if you hold a pencil in your right hand, you are right-handed. And 90% of people are right-handed, which means speech is dominant in the left side of your brain. Okay. If you hold a pencil in the left hand, that means you're left-handed, and speech would be dominant in your right side of your brain. So, because 90% of the population is right-handed and speech is dominant in the left hemisphere, I'm going to be showing this on the left side of the brain, which is what's here. And there's 4 different things I want to show. So let me break it down for you. The first is the motor speech cortex. So we've already talked about it. We talked about we need the cortex because this is where conscious thought happens, okay? But the part of the cortex we need is right before that central sulcus, that primary motor area, controlling the movement of the speech muscles. Okay, so where your mouth speech muscles are on your motor cortex. The second area is known as Broca's area. So Broca's area is part of the frontal lobe. And this is the area responsible for producing the sounds of speech from your throat area. A third area is this green area in your temporal lobe known as Wernicke's area. And this is responsible for understanding speech. Not only understanding the spoken word, but understanding what is written. You can read it without Wernicke's area, but you won't make sense of it. You can hear it, but you won't make sense of it. And then obviously we have to have interneurons that would connect Broca's and Wernicke's area. So we're just going to have an association tract. So remember, a tract is a group of axons traveling in the central nervous system. Okay. So bunch of stuff associated with speech. So language is complicated. We have to have the occipital lobe for reading. We have to have the temporal lobe for hearing. We have to have Wernicke's for comprehending. We have to have Broca's for thinking. We have to have the frontal lobe for thinking and Broca's for producing. We have to have the primary motor cortex for saying the actual words. A lot of your brain is involved for language. And then if you're going to put in other forms of language, such as sign language, that's going to involve other parts of the primary motor cortex as well. All right, let me talk about that prefrontal cortex now. The prefrontal cortex is the most frontal part of the frontal lobe, right up here. And it's using information from other association areas for your reasoning and the plan activities. And it's going to connect with other parts of your brains with emotions and impulses. And here's the biggie about this part. We know as scientists that this does not mature, especially in men, until you are 25 years old. So what does this prefrontal cortex do? A lot of stuff. Critical thinking, okay? Critical thinking is one of the things you go to college to learn how to do. It's one of the things I ask you to do in this course. It is not fill in the blank. That is not critical thinking. It's what I ask you to do, and it's where you often lose your points is because you just want to regurgitate and not have to put concepts together. It lets you look at the risk and evaluate possible consequences of your behavior. Here's an example of that. You go to Mexico for spring break. You're on the top of the cliff. You see the ocean coming in and out. You see all kinds of people jumping off the cliff, and they are doing fine. And you decide to do it, but you weren't paying attention. You didn't realize that all of these people understood about the tide, so they knew the time of day to jump, like when the tide was high, and not just whenever the wind struck them. And also to pay attention to when the waves are coming in so as not to get injured. But you decided just to do it when you were with a bunch of friends, and you jumped off and you ended up paralyzed because you didn't understand the risks. So you could not foresee the consequences because you did not have the ability to do the critical thinking, to do the executive function known as problem solving. There's a reason why executives are not 20 years old in all the companies. There's a reason why youth cannot interpret the social clues, why your parents tell you don't do that, and you think they're picking on you. It's because their prefrontal cortexes are well developed. They understand, they have learned from experience. They can plan behaviors. They know the abstract reasonings. They have forethought. They know what to do to avoid negative consequences. So here's what I want you to do. Every single time you want to do something and somebody tells you no, They are helping to develop your prefrontal cortex. So this is a major dilemma in our judicial system because we know this does not develop until the age of 25. And yet, what happens is so many of the youth in this country are being tried as adults as young as the age of 14, depending on the state that they live in. Imagine a 13-year-old, what you knew at the age of 13. Ask your parents what risks they took at the age of 13, 14, 15, and 16. Think about the ridiculous risks you took at 15 and 16 driving versus the risks you take at age 25 driving. Okay. Because your prefrontal cortex has matured and you realize, oh my God, I could have not only killed myself, but everybody in the car. How stupid a risk was that? Okay, let's get back on track. So as I alluded to before, we have pathways of white matter in the central nervous system. We call them tracks, okay? Association tracks are those that stay on the same side of the brain. So if they're on the right side of the brain, they will go to different lobes. So maybe between the frontal lobe and the parietal lobe, or the occipital lobe or the temporal lobe. They just go back and forth on the right side of the brain. We also have tracks seen here in blue that will cross between the right and left side of the brain. So they cross between the artistic side of the brain and the math side of the brain. So if you ever take music lesson, this part of your brain with these commissural tracks, this part of your brain is 10% bigger. So thank your parents for making you learn music. And the third part are these projection tracks here in green, which are the ones that are going up and down from your brain, down your spinal cord to send messages out to the rest of your body, or up from your body, going up your spinal cord to go up to your brain to bring sensory messages in. So here's an example of a brain where they took off some of the tissue so you could actually see these fibers. To see, in this case, they're showing projection tracks going from the brainstem up to the cortex of the brain. Pretty cool, isn't it? And here they've color coded interneurons. So these are going up to the cortex. These are association going back and forth. Here you can see some going across the commissure. All kinds of neat interneurons being demonstrated in these pictures. Really cool stuff here. Okay. Did you happen to notice 2 slides ago this X? Probably not, but you should have. What this showed was these descending motor tracks coming from the primary motor area. When they got to the brainstem, they crossed from one side to the other side. And the ascending sensory tracks, when they got to the brainstem, they crossed from one side to the other side in the brainstem. So it didn't matter if they were coming from the right side of the body, they crossed to the left side of the brain. If they were coming from the left side of the body, they crossed to the right side of the brain. If they were going down from the right side of the body, they crossed to the left side of the spinal cord. If they're going down from the left side of the brain, they crossed down to the right side of the spinal cord, which meant they were going to give messages to the right side of the brain. So what does this mean? It means that motor neurons on the right side of the brain will control the left side of the body, and vice versa, except for the face, okay? And that's because we have cranial nerves that come off the brain that control the face. So this has to do with the spinal nerves coming off. Okay. So likewise, sensation from the left side of the body transfers to the right side of the brain and vice versa. So here's the question for you. Stop the video and think, how would a stroke in a certain area of the brain affect movement, what part of the body, and sensation? Okay. All right. So let's continue on. So now we are going deeper, okay? We're getting out of the cerebral cortex and we are going deeper where we have some gray matter deep here into an area of the brain that contains two areas known as the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Okay. So for this, I want you to look at this picture on the left and look for the duck's head and beak. See if you can find it. Okay. So the duck head right here, this oval thing looks kind of like an Easter egg. See the Easter egg over here? That's the duck's head. This is the thalamus. This is a major relay center. Almost all of our special senses are going to have neurons which are going to go to the thalamus and synapse here. How do we know they're going to synapse here? Because this is gray matter, which means there are cell bodies here. So this is an area of major sensory input. Now, just below and in front of it, we have the duck's beak. And so we take the prefix that means below, and this is the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is going to link the nervous system with the endocrine system. And it's also the location of the temperature control center. So we'll talk more about the hypothalamus. We'll talk a lot more about the hypothalamus when we talk about the endocrine system. Now, let's go below the thalamus and the hypothalamus. Just draw dotted line right here. And we're going to talk about this stalk known as the brainstem. And so if we look at the brainstem, it has three areas. So first, find this pregnant belly area, this pregnant belly. Think pregnant with a P. Okay, this P area, draw a line at the top of the pregnant belly, draw a line at the bottom of the pregnant belly. So all of this area right here, that would be the pons. The area right above it, so this plus the two little humps here. So all of this area, that would be the midbrain. And then this area below the pregnant belly, that would be the medulla oblongata. So there's three parts to the midbrain. So learn them. The midbrain, sorry, three parts to the brainstem. They are the midbrain, which is the highest part, the pons in the middle, the pregnant belly, and the medulla oblongata, the lowest part. Below the medulla oblongata, we're going to be exiting the skull and you're going to be in the spinal cord. So the midbrain basically has tracks, remember, groups of axons, which are going to pass between the cerebrum up above and either go to the cerebellum or continue down to the spinal cord. And it also has little areas in it that can be affected by Parkinson's disease, but we're not going to talk about that in this course. But if you know anybody who has Parkinson's, this is the part of the brain that's affected. Now, the pons is pretty crucial because it regulates breathing. It works with the medulla oblongata to regulate the breathing. It also contains tracts, sorry about that, between the cerebellum and the rest of the central nervous system. So between the cerebellum going up to the cerebrum, the cerebellum going down to the spinal cord. And then the medulla oblongata not only is regulating breathing with the palms, but also is crucial for regulating your heart rate and your blood pressure. And then also does very interesting things like it is the reflex center for vomiting and sneezing and hiccuping. So if you have repetitive sneezing or hiccuping, that's this part of your brain. Okay. Looking behind the midbrain and below the occipital lobe, we have that little part of the brain known as the cerebellum. If you cut it in half, it looks like has like this little white tree inside of it. And this is the part of the brain that's going to be integrating a bunch of sensory input that helps you maintain posture and balance and gives you motor coordination so that you have smooth motor movement that's voluntary. Otherwise, if you're asked to close your eyes and touch your nose, you're going to do this. So if you've ever seen anybody try to do a field sobriety test where they're walking on the line and they're having difficulty doing that, it's because their cerebellum's not working quite right. And it's also really important to help you learn new motor skills when you're practicing your free throw, when you're practicing new piano pieces or new violin pieces or any of those things that have a lot of finger movements. Okay. Now, the limbic system, super cool. Evolutionarily, really, really, really old. Okay. And it's a functional grouping. It's not like here, this part of the lobe. Okay. It has parts of different things. Okay. And so a lot of different things are being brought together. Involves a lot of different named parts of the brain, none of which we're going to learn in this class. It's going to be uniting some biological drives. Okay. So it's going to, and some emotions with higher mental functions. It's going to have stuff to do with pleasure and fear and memory formation. So it's going to involve things like smell and food and drinking and sex and anxiety and aggression. So when you smell chocolate chip cookies and you feel good, or that glow that some people might get after sex, or like when you're sad and you eat the pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream because it makes you not feel as depressed. I didn't say it makes you feel good. Okay. But that's your limbic system at work. Reticular activating system, something you never heard about. It's deep in your brainstem, once again. And basically, it works with your cerebral cortex for the determining the level of alertness, because remember, consciousness is your cerebral cortex. And so it has to do like it gets activated with noise. The louder the noise, the more it's activated. If you exercise, you activate it. If you turn on the lights, it gets activated. You also can filter out extraneous information because, like, for instance, you walk in a room, you can hear all this background noise, but then if you're sitting there having a conversation with a person, then you don't hear the background noise anymore. So that's your reticular activating system at work all the time, filtering out stuff you don't need. Now, when we give people general anesthesia, we can artificially suppress this system. And when you're in a coma, that's because we have severely injured this. And hopefully, that injury will only be temporary and you will come out of your coma. All right. So I leave you with this part, hoping that you can realize that, especially if you are a young person, some people can live a normal, productive life with only half of a brain. Not if you are an older individual, much more likely if you are a child or an adolescent. I will see you when we come back and we talk about the peripheral nervous system.